Alright folks, have these battery inline switches. This is what they look like new. It says right on top here, keep clean and tight. It's basically, you just unscrew this piece here a little bit. Let's see here. Well anyhow, and then on just underneath that green part, there's a flat part. Looks to be like a brass, and it connects on top and joins the two of these, this end here and this end here together. And in between that, there's a piece of white plastic Teflon type stuff. And then tighten back up. That's what makes the flow able to travel through. And when it's loose, that connection gets broke. So a fella has a very tiny solar system, and he had this in his system as a shut-off switch, and this is what ended up happening to it. It basically went into meltdown. That piece of plastic or Teflon in the middle completely melted out of there. The top portion where the green is, where the knob, you can see it kind of went into meltdown. And I don't exactly know the reason, but I'm guessing that he'd never kept it clean or tight. Not exactly sure, but this was the result. You can see the discoloration in the whole entire piece pretty much. So I don't think I really like these switches, and I wouldn't recommend them to anybody unless you're an extremely careful person and you're always checking to see if the cleanliness is there, to make sure the contact is very good. If you're not that type of person, I would not recommend you using something like this. This is going to end up becoming the result, which can lead to some nasty arcing. You can see how loose it got. And when current's trying to flow through there, it's going to basically create an arc. And it's just not a wanted moment. So there's one that more than likely hasn't been cared for the way it needed to be cared for. And here's one that's never been used yet. Not exactly sure where they came from. Looks like a pretty nifty heavy-duty switch, and I suppose it would work really well, providing, let me see if I can just undo this here with one hand. There we go. See that right now, with that being loose, that's basically in the off position. And then on position would be turned in tightly. I'm going to take it apart here, take this knob off, so you can see what I mean by how it's making its connection. I hope the lighting here is okay. If not, well, please get past that moment of a little bit of shadowing. Okay, so you can see here where that knob screws into, there's that piece of plastic that comes right up to the top surface. And then the knob has that flat, shiny brass colored portion to it. Well, when that's screwed in tightly, the threading part, that plastic or Teflon, is keeping it away from making contact. And then when it's tightened up tight, that flat portion goes on this top portion here, which allows the contact to go through. And that's how the switch works. So providing this area here, surface area, is kept clean, and this area here, that flat portion, is kept clean, I imagine the switch would remain pretty decent. It actually separates. Let me see if I can just do this with one hand. You can see that collar here. And that collar goes through that hole. So they look like a very heavy-duty switch. So imagine if this fella here took a little more care on this one, I'm sure that would not have happened. But this is what's going to happen if it's not kept tight and clean. Meltdown takes place. And this fella never had very much current flowing through here. Maybe about 30 amps, 25 to 30 amps, which isn't very much current. They're able to withstand much more than that. I don't know exactly the recommendations, but gauging the size of it, the amount of amperage able to flow through there should be substantially high. So if this fellow would have had a lot more current, amperage traveling through here, the results would have been even heavier than what you're seeing. And this will just screw back in here. Tighten down nice and tight, and that turns the switch back on. So if anybody's using this type of switch in their system or any other area, make sure you listen to what that top cap says. Very important. Let's see if you can read it there. Keep clean and tight. Very important. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. And thank you very much for those that already have.